real business, real estate. The Craig Jackson Show. Real people, real business, real estate. The Craig Jackson Show. Real people, real business, real estate. The Craig Jackson Show. Real people, real business, real estate. Well, would you look at that? Would you look at that? It seems to be working for now, but we've had some technical difficulties here on the Craig Jackson Show today. I live in the country now. I don't live, in big old California with the big old cell towers and all that kind of stuff, People call me on the phone and my reception's bad. I got internet problems now. Damn. What's up, Craig?
What's up, Patty Pat? Shame on you for,
for showing it.
Putting a
human
roof
side
over your head.
to all this stuff.
Yeah, I know, right? We gotta do the robot thing. You know what I mean? It
is crazy.
It's perfection or nothing else.
Well, it's funny how all that works. Perfection would be really nice, but it is what it is, right? That's what
Absolutely.
we're talking. We called this planting seeds today. We talked about last night. I was at the Propelio event. Totally awesome. If you guys aren't following Propelio, I know a lot of you guys are real estate people. Some of you that follow Craig. Propelio is a free resource that gives you tons of cool information. In fact, all of the broadcasting that I do is free, and we give a ton of information. That's part of the reason why I do it too, is because I want to build a community of, free thinkers, thought leaders, whatever you want to call it, of people who are chasing goals, people who are chasing their dreams and accomplishing things and sticking it out. Like that, we've dealt with so many freaking obstacles and stuff just doing this show. Yesterday I forgot my pair of headphones. I had to pack up my whole studio. As you can see, there's no fancy lights or anything in the background for that event. And it's just like, I wanted to plant seeds of positivity at that event last night. So I went and I packed up my stuff and I showed up and I did my thing. And it was awesome. I met a bunch of people that I've known online, and everyone had a different impression of who Pat Hilton was.
Right.
Until they actually met Pat Hilton.
Yep. And just to throw this out there, and then you can go ahead. I'm absolutely in support of guys like the Propelio team,
yeah,
Brian
awesome.
Harper. Dude, I reached out just to ask him a couple quick questions, through inbox. He's like, hey, just give me a call. He shot me his number. We spent 30, 45, maybe an hour on the phone, just him giving me insight on like best ways to go about setting up this Nashville event. And, just super free giver. You know what I mean? Like
awesome guy.
He didn't withhold anything. He's like, hey, this is the best way to do it so that, you provide the best content for, just tons of real valuable stuff that he just didn't have to give me. He didn't have to take the time.
Right.
I know he's busy. They're doing some really big stuff, constantly cranking out excellent content. I seen they had Corey Peterson on there today. He's a multifamily investor. I like his.
I think he spoke last night at the event too.
I haven't met him in person. We haven't really talked, but I love his. Like he shared a part of his story today about what motivated him to get into the multifamily, and that alone was enough that he sold me on where he's headed. And it's a guy that I highly recommend people following. And but Ryan and then Daniel Chad Moore, what they're trying to do over there, I really like their stuff. And hopefully, like we continue to say, I really feel in my gut we're going to bring some of that to Nashville and vice versa.
And we are.
But so go ahead.
That all ties into what people. Totally. And that's all ties into they're planting seeds, right? And we talk about Gary Vee. I've met Gary just one time, years and years ago, when he didn't have millions and millions and millions of followers, but still a ton of fans. And it's just like, what kind of seeds are you planting? You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because, at first when I started doing this kind of stuff at conferences, I had a song out called Snapchat Girl. And it was a song about, chicks on Snapchat. And I was like, that was what I was known for, like that part of my entrepreneur career, to those people that saw that.
Right.
And you scale backwards, and it's like to the people that I know from Las Vegas, I'm like, I was the corporate audio guy.
Right.
To people from St. Louis, they're like, I don't know if some of them even knew that I played guitar, because all people wanted to hear was DJ music. So I just brought a computer and clicked on DJ music every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. It's just, people know me as different things from different phases of my life.
Right.
So, depending on what you've seen is the seed that I've planted in your head of who Pat Hilton is and what Pat Hilton does.
Well, so just to clarify, I think it's super important, and I think all of your aspiring, you don't even have to be an entrepreneur. I think if you're just aspiring for growth and better understanding of life and ourselves and things like that, we all understand that those seeds are constantly evolving.
Exactly.
They're constantly in growth, modes, whether, they're the story about that certain kind of bamboo tree in China. And
the Les Brown story.
Yeah, exactly. It's like 5 years, you got to water it every single day, no performance, you don't see anything. And then it grows like 15 feet or 5 feet a day up to 90 feet over like 6 weeks.
And if you miss one of those days of watering it in the 5 years, then you screw it. It doesn't work or whatever.
Yeah. Supposedly that it won't actually even make it because it needs that consistent water every day. But just so you know, from an outside perspective, we all should be very aware that people evolve and people change, and that should be a good thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And it all ties back into what we were talking about with the Propelio thing, is that those guys are trying to plant seeds of success for the Dallas, Texas community, whether it's Pat the Song Guy or it's Kelly Smith, the Easy Street Capital girl,
Yep.
or it's, I don't know, Chick-fil-A. Or whatever. The DFW bartending service, they gave me 3 nice ice cold Diet Cokes last night. They were wonderful.
Right. Well, they're curating an environment that no matter what has, you're adding value to people's lives. You're giving people employment. You're giving them opportunities. And, but I just love the events and the motive behind that, and then the software and things like that. That's what really inspires me to participate or even just kind of brag on them a little bit. Is just the level of the way these guys are going about things. And
right.
And we're all smart enough to know that it takes money to put these big events.
It does.
On
it costs
like
money.
That. So
it costs money to do everything in this world.
Yeah, there's a happy balance, but especially when you're getting a ton of content for very minimal, if no cost,
right?
It's a no-brainer, and that's not as common these days. Most everything's set up as a big funnel, and then it's a very small set group of folks that profit from that big funnel that's designed, and that's what I want to do here in Nashville. And some of the bigger folks that have, been in the business 20, 30 years are like, look, Nashville hasn't seen nothing like what you're wanting to create. And I think it's going to crush it. And so that's the point, man. I just want to give back and give people an opportunity to be able to provide for their lives and, the lives of their loved ones with it being an environment. We know it's going to have some costs that we're going to have to kind of eat on the front end. We've got some sponsorships already in play for some of that. But the end result is to give way more than we're seeking to receive. And
Right.
and I think if we keep that motto, I think that it's kind of felt across the board. I can't tell you how many different, not the same three people sharing that have inside benefit. I'm talking a multitude of people that I've just seen share and say, man, we love these guys. The stuff they provide, there's nothing like it. I'm talking about Propelio.
Right.
And, it just happened to be that what I had set on my heart was, very similar to that model.
Which is a
And
good
so,
model to have. I mean,
well, Ryan even blessed it himself. He's just like, dude, you're going to do very well. He's like, if this is your mindset about it, the group's going to know it. They're going to feel it. You're going to get a ton of participation, and people are actually going to learn from those events and be able to implement those strategies or whatnot into their business model. And if that helps, one person at each event, then everything's worthwhile.
right. And it's like, I mean, I can't even tell you how many people reached out to me or just even saw me at that place that just showed me support, whether I met them that night or I knew them, online or whatever. It all kind of came together for me last night. And I was talking to some guys this morning about, there's a moment where I just kind of like separated, because I mean, I'm sober now. I don't drink or smoke weed anymore. I used to, smoke a lot of weed. I mean, that's not really a secret. I mean, I have songs on the internet with Afro Man.
Right.
So, I mean, put 2 + 2 is 4, right? So
Right.
it's just like, I'm sober now. So I was drinking Diet Cokes, and people know that I'm sober because I post about it to hold myself accountable. And it looks like a Coors Light can. You know what I mean? So people are like, oh my
Right.
God, are you friggin' falling off the wagon tonight, Propelio?
Right.
I'm like, no, dude, just a little Diet Coke, And it just kind of came together for me where I kind of stepped outside of myself and noticed, like we talk about planting seeds, different people in the room knew me for different things.
Right.
One guy knew me for roasting the shit out of somebody. One guy knew me for 10X Growth Con. One guy knew me from the Propelio video that was just posted
The
2 nights ago. One
Yeah.
guy knew me from this. One guy knew me from that. It was literally 20 different things. You know what I mean? 20
Yeah.
different reasons why they knew this. The Easy Street Capital guy knew me from the song I made for Kelly Smith. It was interesting how it all kind of came together, and I realized what do I want to put out into the world? And this is what I was talking to my buddy Lee about. What do I want to put out into the world over the next 5 years that's going to create the results that I want 10 years from now?
Right. Right.
Which is part of the reason why I moved to the Texas area in the first place. It's like I got the results that I wanted in the San Diego area. I wanted to sing songs at the beach, and I accomplished all of the things that I wanted to do. And I wanted to take that and advance into doing marketing for business owners and writing songs for business owners. I've done a song for you. We just did a song with Vanilla Ice for the Ty Lassiter show. Like, how many people can say that they did a song with Vanilla Ice? I can say that now. Vanilla Ice, Afro Man. Like we talked about the other day, I toured with the MTV Jackass guys. I mean, they're hilarious. And people last night probably would never have known that because they didn't know me at that time in my life.
Right. Right.
So what seeds did I plant last night that people are going to see this stream today and say, how is Pat representing himself? To get the seeds to harvest 5 years from now into the things that I want to receive in the world. So if I'm going to put out certain things in the world, it needs to be something that is going to be received in a certain way that is going to bring back to me what I'm putting out. If I'm putting out positivity and dancing with everybody at the camera booth and it's spinning around and we're having fun and Claire and I are having fun and Shelton and I are rapping outside and you know what I mean? Greg Shine and I are having fun. and I'm talking to his wife and her friend, and maybe we'll do an advertisement. Maybe we won't. Maybe we'll just be friends online and support each other. But what kind of energy is Pat representing at this event? Because Pat is a part of the event. So Pat is now representing Propelio's brand just as much as Pat's representing Pat's brand or Acoustic Force Digital or whatever. You know, that's why I was annoyed the thing was lagging earlier. It's probably the internet or Skype or something. It worked just fine yesterday. But that represents, the quality that I'm trying to bring to the table. You know, I'm still using an old school laptop, to do this because I'm still in a growth mode. You know, I haven't made it yet. I don't even know what making it is.
That's okay.
And that's what I mean. Like, this is what we talk about. I'm planting all of these seeds for myself to harvest in the future every single day, every single place I show up at. So I want people to walk away and walk up to someone like Ryan Harper and be like, you know what, man? You guys are crazy if you don't have that Pat guy at every single event you do. If he's willing to come and be here anyway, why wouldn't you have him singing? Why wouldn't you have him doing the photo booth? And what a great guy to have representing your brand.
Right.
And that's what we want. That's what you're going to want in Nashville. You want people to show up at this event in Nashville and say, man, I'll tell you what, Craig, you really put a lot into this and you're going to get so much more out of it in the future. The first one, second one is always an investment.
Yeah.
It is. Like, I mean, the first 10 entrepreneur conferences that I played where I met all those guys was an investment. Gary Vaynerchuk didn't pay me to play at the book release thing in San Diego. I just showed up with my fucking speaker and did it because that's what he teaches you.
Right.
Just show the F up and get it the F done.
That's right.
And that's why I got the gig. Gary didn't hook me up. How did you get hooked up with Gary V? It's like, dude, I didn't.
Right.
I just showed up. Plain and simple. Grant Cardone didn't. I mean, yeah, he did. I mean, he hooked me up with tickets and stuff. But the reason why I closed that deal, I didn't even know there was a book called The Closer's Survival Guide until I read it. And it's like, you don't want to like show up and and do this, that, and the other thing, which is exactly what I did. But that's what I had to do at that time to get that done. Because I wanted to play 10X GrowthCon so bad, because I wanted to play the biggest business event on the planet. From the corner of the bar, starting with nothing, to the biggest business event on the planet, and I accomplished that. That was my goal. My goal moving here is to build, my digital marketing business. I thought it was going to work, building it out of a fancy, expensive facility in the San Francisco Bay Area. I realized that wasn't what I wanted. That wasn't what made me happy. That wasn't what was going to take it to the next level. That's just business.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah, well,
does it change the fact that those guys have planted their seeds as people that close big deals in Napa? No, they're still going to close big deals in Napa. I'm sure they're closing deals right now. But I decided to just do my thing here. And I think that we can see by the support that I'm receiving online, it was the right choice.
Right.
And it's like you talk about, I've learned a lot from you because it's like, dude, be a man. Take it on the chin. You're going to take your punches in business, whatever business you're in, whether it's real estate or any other business, but you got to plant these seeds of positivity, or guess what's going to come back to you, dude?
Yeah.
Negativity. And that's just not what I want. Now, am I guilty of throwing some bows, dude? Yeah, man. Yeah. But, I've gotten to a point in my life where I know that if I'm planting, Ryan Harper's a great example. Ryan Harper is dedicated to bringing everyone together, helping everyone move forward, and planting a positive impression on every single person that he deals with. Just like Gary Vee, just like Grant Cardone, just like Andy Frisella, And I'm learning this as we go with this podcast. I've had some huge breakthroughs of us having these conversations because I was talking to Elizabeth, my friend Elizabeth, last night, and she's doing real well in real estate. And I know I'm talking right now, but I needed this today.
It's all good.
About a group that she's in, and it's way more dedicated to like self than it is business, because if you don't have yourself together, you can't provide for everybody else.
That's right.
And it's like, dude, it's like learning like where you came from and all this. Like, dude, I was a spoiled kid. I had everything in the world, and I'm lucky for that, and I'm blessed for that. But again, what am I going to do with that today?
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of going and going and going, but it's like I'm on that level today, and I can't like get distracted. Like, this time that I have is so valuable. I have to focus every single thing that I'm doing on trying to create a positive seed that I'm planting of Pat. Period. You know, no matter what happened in the past, all that is over already.
Yep.
It's over. Again, back to Gary Vee. All that looking back's messing with your neck, bro. It's messing with your neck. Where are you going right now? Where are Pat and Craig going a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year from now? And that's what I need to be focused on.
Absolutely. It's good to analyze, you know, any decisions, and then it's good to you know, really kind of shed off all the opinionated side of it, and then just kind of get to the meat and say, okay, this is where I went wrong, but this is what I learned from that.
Right.
So on and so forth. But yeah, we have to be careful, you know, not to just dwell on the past, but I like to use my past in some of my postings for, you know, clarity on like, you know, what's possible or what I firmly believe is possible, and to give people an example. And if anyone's been there, then they kind of know, you know, that different options are out there. Different paths are absolutely in front of you. You just have to make a choice.
Right. And it's, dude, that's a great example. And again, I'm Mr. Captain Interrupt, because I know if I don't like say it, I'll lose it. But I'm agreeing with you in the fact that it's like you had every opportunity in the world, you know, by the background that we discussed, to just be a shithead forever. You know, and I'm not saying that to be rude. I'm learning something from this, because sometimes I'm a total shithead, and it's like I don't want to put that energy out into the world, and I definitely don't want to be complimented for it.
Right.
And it's just it's a learning experience. What are Pat and Craig going to put out to the world over the next 3 months that are going to develop a positive community that we can harvest in the future, that we can help somebody else get a wholesale deal, that we can put 100 people in a room that are going to be positive and supportive. Somebody gets on the stage and speaks for the first time. Somebody comes on this podcast. They've never been on a microphone ever. You know, there might be some feedback. It's just like our job is to battle through with everyone, not to battle everyone.
That's right. That's right.
It's like I can only carry my weight.
Well, I think there's so that's why it was super important to me for the naming of this episode. And if you don't mind, I'll get into a little bit of where I was coming from that. I think there's a lot in the entrepreneurial space in general, especially on the social media end of things, that there's a point where it's really good to be concerned about, you know, some of the shady tactics, some of the shady coaching, you know, different things, whether it's life coaching, whether it's, you know, wellness coaching, whether it's exercise coaching, whether it's relationship coaching down to, you know, business mentors and so on and so forth, whether it's on e-com or real estate or even media.
A guitar teacher.
And I understand that. I really do. I really understand that. And I think that a lot of the individuals that are kind of harping on that probably either A, have been burned,
Yep.
B, know someone that's been burned,
Because Daniel
C,
Chad Moore's been
heard
burned
about,
before, right?
right, or C, heard about someone who burned someone and they're sick of it. I absolutely understand that characteristic. I absolutely understand even being angry or upset and want to put a stop to some of that. I think that the most important value, for me that I wanted to kind of share was that it's absolutely okay to be in that space to say, you know what, enough's enough, right? Like let's put a stop to some of this. And I get that. But I just want to like maybe share that I personally feel we can make a ton more progress by clarifying that we don't allow the bull crap in our area, in our circle, in our groups, And I think that can be a good thing. But I also think that we can get so caught up in thinking about what can go wrong and who is looking to take advantage that we may actually deter someone that really means well, and they're seeking to grow, and they're seeking, we don't know, maybe they're doing real estate deals, or they're doing selling on e-com, and they're doing well, but they just want to up that volume, or maybe they know that they need to market more on social media. Maybe they need a 5 to 10K a month budget. So their plan is, okay, let me bring on 10 people. I can micromanage that. I'm going to teach them how I'm doing real estate deals. They can make, 5 to 15 to 30K a deal, and it's going to bless them, and it's going to work good for me, because now I have my marketing funds that don't come out of my real estate transactions to produce more content for getting more deals. So, like, all I'm saying is we don't know everybody's path. We don't know why they're doing it, when they got started, how they got started, what they've been through to even get to survival to today. And I think the market has such a sour taste because of the bad things that we're not heeding if we're not careful, we can stop that seed planting, right? So we can actually stop our own growth because we get caught up in thinking that everybody has a shady tactic. And I think it's more important for us to focus on how we can help and impact someone and just keep evolving, keep growing, keep learning, than it is for me to take the time to bash someone that really doesn't matter anyways, in the grand scheme of things. And what I mean by that, karma's a bitch, right? So that's coming anyways. And then we know
that's coming anyways.
Well, life has a way of teaching some valuable lessons. I've learned a big number of them myself. And sorry, my lighting's kicking in, so
it's all good.
Makes me look like I've been clubbing all night with my black
It's all good.
So it's like, I just think there's a fine line, and I think that if we're not careful, a lot of people are meaning really well, but they can get carried away, and next thing you know, it's kind of like this scenario of watch out for everybody.
Well, right. And I mean, dude, like I said, I mean, I'm guilty of it too. I mean, I've sang songs about, I mean, if you go on YouTube, I mean, or Facebook, I've sang songs about almost anything you could think of.
Yeah. And I love it.
You're right.
it. I've laughed. I've enjoyed so much of a lot of that. And when people are blatantly doing things wrong, well, then let's hey, I know for a fact this guy did this lady did this.
Right.
And hey, group, if you'd like, watch out. Well, that's called common sense, and that's probably good for looking out for your associates and friends.
Right.
But when we get to a place where that's what I mean, it's like people are reaching to a next level or reaching to attempt, fear is a real thing, right? So
absolutely.
We make it seem like this or that, or a lot of folks, like it's just what we do, right? No, I fear every time I got to get on this camera and record myself, and I know that we're doing it live, and I want to really give decent content so that people understand like our motives and where we're gearing to go with this, and why we want it to grow, da da da. And I have to face that, right? So if every time that I put one out, I had 20 people jump on my podcast and just really hammer me when I feel like at that point, that may be something I don't or do deserve, whatever. It's like we just have to be careful, right? Because we can actually deter people from achieving or attempting to achieve their dreams. Even if they fall on their face, it's their God-given right to attempt to obtain something better. You know what I mean? They may have 6 kids and whatever. I'm just saying, I'm not saying, I don't advise anyone, hey, if you don't know what you're doing, damn sure don't be trying to coach people. I think that's a really disastrous train wreck you're looking to kind of be into. And, I mean, hey, you're going to learn one way or the other.
You're going to learn. You're going to learn.
I think that we're getting in this place where we're just cutting people off before they even have a chance to even show face.
Right. And I think that
personally,
go ahead.
That's an unproductive place to be.
Well, that's what I was going to say. So again, like, what seeds are we planting today that are going to bless us in the future? I made sure that I had that in my head last night. I want people to leave this event, and if I don't wake up tomorrow,
right,
what are people going to post about me on Facebook?
Or what are your friends
that
gonna
this
say?
Dude was the most fun guy at the event? Because somebody wrote that. I have the screenshot.
I've seen that.
This dude was the most fun guy at the entire event.
Right.
What a compliment. I wasn't trying to be. I was just trying to be Pat.
Right.
And again, that's part of the reason why we talk about this. All goes back to, what decision did I make last September to be the best that I can be today? Was, let's lay out the weed, and maybe that's slowing you down. Let's lay out the shots. When someone's giving you free shots all the time, I don't think there's anybody that would watch this that probably wouldn't take a free shot.
Right.
I'm human too. But after 10 or 15 years of, taking, a couple free shots here and there, and the other thing, it becomes unproductive. Because now I'm planting the seed of that into me. I'm planting the seed of, I'm gonna smoke forever, and people eventually pick up on that. And guess what happens? Some people don't want to do business with you anymore. Well, that's the guy that gets high all the time, or that's the guy that rolls around with Bam Margera and Afro Man. And I don't know if we want those guys tasing each other's asses at our event.
Right.
Sorry, but it's the truth, because I've been there and I've done that.
Right.
I was talking to somebody the other day. I don't really talk about it much, but I was in Nashville for a little bit. There's a university there, a music university called Belmont University.
Yes, sir.
And we did
I've done a lot of work. We did a bunch of floors there in the dorm rooms.
Yeah,
back
Professor Pat. Professor Pat's been there before, and it's because of recommendations from, Production Resource Group, being the biggest corporate audio provider on the planet.
Right.
And so, again, I planted seeds when I wanted to work for the biggest bands in the world at whatever age I was. I don't even remember anymore, 25. That was what I wanted to do, 24 years old. It's really like 21 or 22. And that's what I wanted to do. And I put myself in a position to where that's what I was able to achieve.
Right.
So, again, it's like this all goes in with what we're talking about. We're planting seeds right now with this show to hopefully develop it into something that can give people some confidence and some information and some real estate knowledge, and introduce them to some people that can help them, and some issues that they might be facing, that we're facing, that, we're struggling with. And I can't tell you how many people have messaged me about sobriety since I started posting about it. And I'm telling you, I'm not ever going to be someone that rails on drinking. I mean, I'm never going to be someone that rails on weed. If you want to
Right.
smoke weed, you want to drink alcohol, like, I mean, I wouldn't be doing anything illegal. You can get in trouble. I would not drive if I was doing any of those things.
Right, but have your priorities, straight before you think about the drink or this or that. That
But
that
just
that's what gets people, I think, is it starts out as a social occasion,
you're planting
but
seeds.
you're preparing yourself for basically, okay, I'll take that drink when I kind of got this little social anxiety that kind of peaks up and it loosens me up. I have a little bit more fun, and I get that, but it's like it's so much better, and this is all like, this is not a judgment call. This is
No,
more
not at all.
personal opinion. The more that we power through those uncomfortable moments, really we kind of blossom, right? So it enables us to be very different,
Right.
right? Like in our own unique, weird, odd way. And
Absolutely.
that's when I like found at least the most. Sorry, brother.
Oh, you're good.
The most balance per se, and the feeling of just being in the right directions when I found the weird me and the uncomfortable me, and
Right.
got intertwined with that and started to just kind of say, hey, I want to love me, and the folks that like that will, and the folks that don't. And I think there's
Absolutely.
just a lot of social pressure for people to kind of be a certain way when really we're all supposed to be different anyways.
Well, right, and it's like that should be a prime example of. I mean, I didn't need to be buzzed last night to be jumping around like a knucklehead. I don't need drugs to be a knucklehead.
Right.
I don't need alcohol or I don't need anything. I'm just a knucklehead. Like, and it's all good. And again, it's just back to the same thing of what kind of perception are people going to wake up on Wednesday morning and say about Pat? Are people going to say, hey, man, I really want to do some business with that guy. I really want to meet that guy's, wife. And boy, I really hope that guy does great out here. Because if you're putting out, like we call it maybe the Ryan Harper vibe. If you're putting out the Ryan Harper vibe, then you got nothing to worry about because that good karma is going to come back to you. And that's part of the reason why there's millions of plays on their videos all the time now at this point.
That's the heart of where I was going with the planting seeds, which I think we mutually decided on. But it's like this. It's like you can spend your energy being the police of the Facebook marketplace and the real estate game and saying, hey, we're just going to pre-qualify any da-da-da. Or you can actually spend your energy building folks up and let the stuff will come to a head.
Let the shit hit the fan when it hits
Just
the fan,
let it roll, man, because
Right.
at the end of the day, everybody's got their own process, and the thing is, let them figure it out, but I understand protecting folks. I do get that
Totally.
aspect, but I just think our energy personally is better spent planting to move forward versus digressing and or policing the environment in order to do human being and God's work, because really, man, all of that's for him to kind of pan out anyways.
Totally.
And I think we're all going to be okay, even if we don't, harp on those things. I think it's good to be aware and woke. I get that completely. I've been through some douchebag experiences myself.
Well,
I'm sure
yeah.
that
Welcome.
there's folks out there.
We could start a whole
that-
club for that, couldn't we?
Well, no.
And then what would we be doing? We'd be beating a dead horse of negativity.
Absolutely. And then there's folks out there that may say the same thing about me.
Totally.
The 7 years ago, Craig, the 15 years ago, Craig, maybe that was somebody that didn't mesh well or didn't make as good decisions. And
Right.
I acknowledge that as a person and as an
Me
individual.
too. Me too.
But it's just important. The most important thing for me right now is just to be present, and just be aware that I'm making decisions. Those decisions have consequences, and so I need to be responsible and make the best decisions I can for me and the people around me,
and for your family. I mean, we both. I mean, I got another kid on the way too. We got kids to take care of.
Congratulations.
Yeah, man. Thank you. And it's just like, it's not all about Pat anymore. Like back in the day, it was just all about me traveling around, being a rock star and working with rock bands and this and that and the other thing. And it's just like, there's way more at stake now than there's ever been.
Right.
And so again, what am I going to put out into the world that's gonna do good, that's gonna bring good? Again, when people woke up this morning, what were they posting on Facebook about Pat Hilton?
Right.
I didn't see one person say Pat Hilton's a shithead. You know, not one person.
I've seen a ton of good feedback. So, I just wanted to get this line out before my brain forgets.
Do it.
It does that all the time. Just so that my whole motive is like this, man. It's just, I just think we want to be conscious and aware. It's okay to like understand that there's bad crap out there, and we all are aware of that. But at the same time, like, I think we can go about it in such a positive manner that we can actually merge and build these communities.
Absolutely.
Instead of division and, you know, some of that stuff. I just think that it doesn't mean that in any way you're unintelligent because maybe you don't want to. It's human to err, but I think it's very wise to self-evaluate, right? Just self-evaluate. Self-awareness is
That's
key
a good way to put it.
and crucial to any continued growth. And I think that things that may have worked, 6 months, a year, 18 months ago may not work now for me, for my group, for my associates, so on and so forth. So
that's the key.
Remembering that we're all in phases, we're all human, but that to be self-aware is definitely, it's been a big factor in my evolution as a person, my business career, and the association as far as just my reach with people, transactions, like it all.
Yeah, I mean, all this stuff ties together.
Yeah, it all compounds from the decisions I make, right? So I just want to be very aware of those decisions and making sure that those decisions are actually what's best versus what I feel.
Absolutely. And I was talking about this yesterday on a show, was whenever I'm in my lane, I'm focused on my stuff. I'm trying to be the best Pat that I can be, and I cut everything else out. That's when I'm at like 193%.
That's how, and you get in a room with 10 or 15 or 30 or 200 people that are pushing or aiming for the same direction. That to me is where a bunch of magic happens.
And that's what happened last night.
Yeah, and we just kind of got to open up and say, you know what? Hey, I've been burned, but I'm going to rise above. And I got me a little friendly fly here, it looks like.
Oh, that's
I've been
lots
burned,
of flies out here in Texas.
Yeah, y'all got some horse flies.
Dude, it's real.
They're flying around wearing Houston, Texas jerseys now. We won't get into the football quarter. I can't do it, Pat. Don't do me that way.
Dang.
So, it's just like, it's just the human factor, right? Like, if a person's a jackass, air them out. If they're not, have fun doing business. Like,
right.
We just can't get so caught up in the judgment process, and I'm guilty of that myself. I've done it, and
or judging yourself too. I mean, geez, Louise, how hard are we on ourselves as entrepreneurs? I was talking to a couple of gals last night about how we have a hard time turning our brains off.
Yes, sir.
We have a hard time. Everyone's looking for the next deal or for the next gig or for the next whatever. What's the next little tune I'm gonna make for somebody or whatever else? And it's just, when the little thing wasn't working a little bit ago, all of a sudden the stream's working fine. By the way, All of a sudden, the stream's working fine. It wasn't working at all earlier.
Right.
I have no idea why.
I'm gonna kill this fly.
Well, you should. But it's just like that's always going to be a factor, man. I still struggle with that. I was so bent out of shape because I look forward to these conversations. These conversations are like therapy for me now.
Good.
This is just as important as playing the guitar or with, producing a clip or with this or that or the other thing. It all is part of why I exist on this planet, is to do this stuff. And it forces me out of my comfort zone too. Like, I don't think anyone would disagree that I don't really have a problem talking all the time, but at the same time, we want to make sure that we're, like you said, we're planting seeds that are pushing us in the right direction.
That's right.
Recently met this guy, Lee, and he's deep, dude. The dude is deep, and he talks about these little ways of, 1% at a time, getting better 1% at a time. And I feel like last night I saw a real, 360-degree shift of where Pat is right now compared to where Pat was last year at the Propelio event when I performed. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It was different. I was way more about rocking with everyone else last night than I was rocking for everyone.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
And sometimes when you're trying to be an entertainer, you're trying to rock for everybody. There's nothing wrong with that. So I set out my designated time with Ryan where I can rock out for everyone and get my energy out like that. And then have the rest of the time where I can eat way too many chicken sandwiches and drink way too many Diet Cokes.
Yep. Yep.
And it was so much fun.
Yeah.
It was so much fun because I was in an environment of like-minded people.
You guys look like you had a great time, and
dude, it was fun.
That made me happy. But it's like this, man. It's like you said, we're always planting seeds one way or the other, and I just would hope that as we're elevating at whatever level that it is, that we keep an awareness that we're not so decided on how things are that we actually don't deter people from trying to reach higher.
Yeah, we got to be students of the game still.
That's right, brother. And you know what I mean? It's like, and I get it, like I said. So I hope, I really would like for this message to be taken, in a very open and transparent way. But I just think that the market, has some definite discomfort against some coaching. And I have my own opinions. But
absolutely.
But I think that there's also some good folks out there that are, maybe just going about things different than you perceive. Maybe have a conversation with them. Social media, that's the one thing I don't like, is that things can get blown out of context pretty quickly.
Well, and that's the internet. That's the internet. It's almost, and Denzel Washington was quoted as saying this, the news's job isn't to provide, the truth anymore, the news anymore. It's to be first.
Yeah, well, now they report opinions versus several decades ago, the news was actually about reporting events and news. Now it's there's a monetary motive behind all that, which is sad, but reach out to your fellow entrepreneur, talk to them, hear them out,
right.
Hear what they have to say, hear about maybe a couple of their struggles they just went through for 5 weeks before they finally got the money or the marketing together to put everything in play to try to get started, and here you are burning it down. And I just would ask that we all be conscious of our fellow human beings, and
right. And again, it's like I'm guilty of shitting on people in the past too. I am,
I have myself.
I mean, myself. Like I said, I was pissed at the internet earlier, and Megan, you need to call the internet provider. There's got to be an internet problem. And then it's like, well, maybe I just needed to calm down and restart Skype or something like that.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
now it's
Sometimes
working.
the
So again, I blew it out of
sometimes we
proportion.
yeah, yeah. The simplistic answer, that's a great example if you really think about that in depth, even though it's just, a simpler scenario. But it's like we had the answers, but we let our emotions way surpass the actual answer, that we have to actually come way back here just to say, oh, there was the answer, right? So it's like, I think we can use that in a lot of aspects of our lives. And I just think it's important that we spend our time putting a hand down. You know what I mean? Instead of kind of looking for that self glorification, like
Right.
that self. Like, look what I've done, and this is where I'm at. And if you're not doing it how I'm doing it,
Right.
you're losing.
And it's
Because I think we miss a lot of good relationship building, and a lot of possible unique, business relationships, whether it's friendships, whatever. I think we miss those opportunities if we're not careful with that mindset.
and again, I had such a great conversation with Elizabeth Navarrete. If you don't follow her online, you should, especially if you're a real estate person.
I
Yeah,
think she shows you some love. I haven't never spoken with her, but she does seem like
she's great.
Professional and a solid individual.
She's great. So we were talking about almost this exact same thing last night, her and this gal Jamie, and it just came up where it's just we're all fighting so many different struggles, and
Yes, sir.
you just never really know what position somebody's is in. And I know that for me, like when I first moved to San Diego, there was this dude Jake Skolnick, right, and he got me a bunch of like bar gigs that I needed desperately,
Right.
desperately, because I was playing at farmers markets for like $40.
Right.
And it's just like this dude selflessly gets so many people booked in San Diego, right? And
Absolutely.
helped me out a lot. And I'd always tell him, dude, just watch, man. In 3 or 4 years, I'll be playing Mandalay Bay, sold
Right.
out with a suit on, doing the same super jumps I'm doing off the wall at the Tipsy Crow. And he was like, dude, Pat, if there's anybody that can do it, it's you, buddy. If there's anybody that can do it, it's you. And it happened
Right.
because of the energy that was exchanged. It materialized into a reality.
Right.
It wasn't smack talk. It was
Right.
real. It was real dreams, real things that eventually happened. And eventually I moved on from that into different things. Bigger, better, certain aspect, but just what I needed to do. To some people, that's what they want to do forever, and that's great. I think that's awesome. That was
Right.
a phase for me, just like the corporate audio was a phase, just
Right.
like California eventually was just a phase. That was where the business kind of started, of Pat shifting from just being a musician into being a digital marketing person. And it's like I'm still dealing with internet issues or Skype issues, or I had to switch the camera back to the webcam instead of the fancy cam, and it's just like that's all part of learning. But I planted those seeds when I made the decision to go all in and move to California with the guitar and make this shit work.
Right. So we have to be careful not to assume that someone's seed may be toxic when the very behaviors we exhibit could be extinguishing, if not killing, the very seed you're stomping on.
Right. Because at what point, you know what I mean? If I get on here and I'm like, oh man, I moved on bigger and better things, fucking blah, 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 blah. It's like, dude, no, what we're doing right now, the laptop or whatever I even have, probably wouldn't have it if it wasn't for Jake Skolnick.
Right. Everything has
Plain
a
and
purpose.
simple. Plain
we
and
just
simple.
That's right. So we just want to definitely be aware that we are impactful. And I think it's super useful to know when and where to utilize that and in what manner.
Absolutely. And again, it's like those seeds were planted and those commitments were made. And I guarantee there's nobody happier than that guy when he logs on and sees Pat doing all the things that he wanted to do.
Right.
All the things, the backyard and the business and the ring light and the podcasts and the Propelio and this and that and all that materialized from, hey man, I mean, this is what my end goal is in
Speaking
5
it
years.
out in the open.
In 5 years. And if you help me, I know that I can achieve these things.
Right.
You know? And
Right.
It got to a point where, I mean, I even got his band a couple gigs. Because,
Nice.
you know, and vice versa. So, again, what we do today for each other and what we do today when we're out at the grocery store or the event, or what I get bent out of shape about with the internet and fucking blow up on my wife about, you know, materializes, dude.
You can kick his ass, Megan.
Well, she gets it, and I'm sure she understands. It's stressful. This stuff is live. We have a time that we want to be online, and it's just I'm trying to do the best that I can with it. There's certain shit I can't control, and definitely she can't control it. But sometimes when we get frustrated, you know, who do we blow up or vent to? It's the people that we love the most, dude.
It's the people close to us,
right?
Yes, sir.
So, you know, if you're hurt or you're dealing with somebody that you're frustrated with, or you're frustrated with yourself, people are going to pick up on that energy because it eventually is going to come out one way or the other.
That's right.
And that, like
That's
you say,
right.
those seeds will be planted. And we have to be, especially me, I got a big fucking mouth. I got to be extremely careful about moving into my late 30s here and early 40s as a business owner. What the hell comes out of my mouth?
It's like we talked about,
you know what I mean?
Before. Just to clarify, so it's like I don't believe we should ever change who we are for the benefit of someone else. It's really about being a scholar and a gentleman and learning to have compassion and caring about, you know, outside of ourselves. And
you always put it so much more delicately than I do.
Well, you know, no, man, but it's real. You know what I mean? It's just like,
I agree.
Dude, drop an F-bomb when you need to, but just as long as you're not doing it to hurt or hinder someone, and you mean, you know, your meanings are good and it fits the profile for when it needs to be said, then fuck it. You know what I mean? But someone running around just dropping them, just trying to get attention or to sell, now I completely disagree with that and but man, you know, it's all a learning curve, and
it is.
Hopefully some folks plant a few seeds.
Well, right, and it's like
from this,
right, and we don't script any of this. We're just literally just having conversations and growing up as we do this. But I've literally learned so much from starting to do these interviews, and I don't know if it was like Napoleon Hill or who the famous like book writer guy was that went around. He didn't know anything about business or sales or anything like that. So he went around and he interviewed all the best business people and all of this. And like, that's how he learned how to be the business guy.
It was Napoleon Hill.
Was it Napoleon Hill?
Yeah, he's like, I don't even have to be smart enough to do any of this because I keep everybody around that is.
Exactly.
But it's an excellent concept. Just knowing that's what I'm saying. It's like, if we're not careful, we're cutting down people's trees that might even be shade for us, that may be shade for 45,000 other people in a year. You know, like, just be aware. Like, be aware of what you're doing, why you're doing it. Don't do it for the impression of the damn internet. Do it because you're passionately believe in it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And if that's your role and that's how you ride, then ride that shit out.
Right.
But don't do it just to be a certain popularity or a certain way.
Yeah, and we see that too. There's actually, that's funny you say that too. There's this guy named Prince EA. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He's really big online. And he talks about influencers, like this term influencers, and it's like, what influence are you bringing to the table to people? How are you influencing people? Like we talk about, what kind of seeds is Pat planting today for his unborn child that are going to be harvested 12 months from now?
Yes, sir.
I don't know who I use as an example. I'm trying to think of what his name is. Oh yeah, Greg Shine. But just this positive impression that I got from this guy last night, and his wife and his friend and his friend's wife. And it's just like that whole group of people, when they came through the way that the place is built, it's like a big like shoe horse like you, and it's like, so everybody's kind of making their rounds, and different people in different areas, and everywhere those people were, there was just this bright energy that followed them through the building. And it's just like, dude, it was noticeable.
I mean, that speaks volumes for what our motives are here.
Right. So, the seed that was planted in my head is, that's somebody I want to have on this show to talk to you about real estate. You know what I mean?
I would love
He represented himself well. And so, I want to make sure that I'm representing myself well. I want him to say the same thing I said about, or I want him to say about me the same thing I said about him. Man, I like that guy. That dude, he was dancing with everybody and high-fiving everybody, and dude sang some song, and you know what I mean, was chatting with my wife and her friend, and introduced himself to this guy, and blah 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 blah. What seeds am I planting today that I'm going to harvest 12 months from now? And that also goes back to, what are my goals in a year? What are my goals in 2 years? 6 years ago, when I talked about Jake Skolnick, my goals were different 6 years ago than they are now.
Yeah, they should evolve as often as we possibly can. A lot of the greats, Greg Reed, he does it's called Secret Knock, and I think it's like once a year. And you're talking some of the basic high-end names in the world attend that event.
I've met Greg before.
And that's what, I don't know him, but I know his online presence.
He's a big Acoustic Force fan.
Nice. Good job, brother. He seems very genuine, but like that's what they talk about a lot, is just like realizing change is constant, and it's okay to reevaluate and say, hey, so like that, it's just, don't be stubborn. Learn that you can learn from every single person you meet, whether they're worth a penny or 400 million.
There's a good point. I mean?
And value each and every interaction, understanding that you just don't know, right? So treat every scenario with some character and just some good down home, just wholesome love. Just be good people. That shit comes full circle.
And that's again why I like talking to you, is because it's very grounding for me, because again, with what I do, it's like I want everybody to like what I put out there, because I am pretty much still in the entertainment business. Taylor Swift doesn't write songs so that people won't buy it or won't like it. Like, that would be pretty much the dumbest thing that she could possibly do, would be to get on the internet or say or do anything that would alienate someone from buying a ticket to her event, or from supporting her album, or from wearing her wristband or t-shirt or whatever. The worst thing that she can possibly do is something that would cause that kind of an effect.
Right.
So what is Taylor Swift doing every day to make sure that she's planting seeds of success for 10 years from now? She was a country artist when she first started. She's way more of a pop star now, because that was where she evolved with the industry. Right.
But I think she did it in a wholesome way.
I think she's great.
And I think that in general, people will tell you that she's probably has good character.
Or nobody would work with her.
Well, and so see, those things just go hand in hand. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, I think there's some really good people that sometimes myself, we forget to self-evaluate. We forget to say, hey, is there anything I can do better here? Is there any way I
Right.
can change this process? Is there any reason that I feel this certain way about this certain direction of things? And really dig deep and find those answers. And a lot of times the answers will provide an actual solution so we can put that to bed. And then we usually even have an external explanation or whatever. There's a series of processes that become evident and clear once we learn that we need to problem solve honestly as often as possible and as quickly as possible so that those things don't sour.
And here's a good 360 for you. So we kind of talk about the coaches are popular right now. I mean, it's because people want to have an online business, which is fine.
Yeah, people want to learn without making the mistakes. I mean, we preach that.
That is what I was about to say. Some of the most, in fact, I'll say some of, because I don't, like you said, I don't personally know if people are paying for it or not. But Russell Brunson is the CEO of ClickFunnels. I bring him up because I am a ClickFunnels user. I worked really hard to become someone that's in the circle of ClickFunnels people because I think that they're highly successful at digital marketing. And most of the highest earners in ClickFunnels are part of Russell's group called the Inner Circle. And it is a coaching group. And it's really, really expensive. I remember someone telling me how much the group costs. And I was like, well, that's interesting because I don't even think my wife and I make that much money combined.
Right.
I'd actually have to go do the math on that because that was not really my goal. So I never really thought about what that could do for me until I met those people.
Right.
And I was like, well, man, what, look at the results that these people are getting so quickly because they've invested into this circular group. They planted the seeds of success by putting themselves around the best people in that marketplace.
Right.
And by spending the investment on themselves to get around the best people so that they could get the best results.
Right. And any great person that I've personally ever met or interacted with, they talk about mentors.
Right.
They talk about coaches.
So, I mean,
so I just think let people think for themselves and let the process kind of be the process. And there's a lot we can learn from all that, from everyone.
Right.
Maybe coaching just isn't for
it's not for everybody.
Right.
Soccer's not for everybody. Hockey's not for everybody. Volleyball is not for everybody. I suck at volleyball because you got to be calm and collected to be good at volleyball. Not really my thing, right?
Right. And then I get it, right? So it's like, okay, coaching. And then, of course, we ask the question, if I could charge you $100,000 and I could show you how to guarantee, like if I could put it on paper, guaranteed you make $2 million a year off this $100,000 investment, and then you can double that or amplify that as you grow. 99% of people that have the money they're in, probably even 100. Okay, we get that. And then we get, but then there's a bunch of snakes that come along and they want to wrap up into this and then they want to create stuff that they're giving no value. We get that part. But you don't have to police the environment in order to keep it safe.
Right.
Especially if you need to self-check and make sure. I was taught my granny, man. She says, it's a lot easier to worry about someone else and how dirty their house is than to clean your own shit.
Yeah, I hate cleaning my house.
Everybody does.
But I like putting my shit everywhere.
I ask my daughter this. Every time she does a chore, I make sure every time I can, not every time, but like when I'll get her to do something inside or out, and she'll kind of have an attitude. Of course, she's a 15-year-old and she knows everything. And I'll ask her after the fact, like you can literally watch her change. And so she'll have this look, right? And then she does her work and then I'll look at her and it's like she's kind of glowing and she's proud of herself. And I'll ask her, I'll say, you see what you get from doing the work and how you feel from accomplishing things as an individual? Yeah, I feel better. and of course the next time we're right back in the same cycle. But the point is, there's a lot of reward that comes from self-building and being self-aware and just putting in the work.
Absolutely. And
just be careful not to tilt that scale to the point where it's like I'm up here and really y'all are all down here because you're scum. And you're eliminating the possibility for new growth right there.
And that was why I brought up that inner circle thing, because not one person, when I told them what my numbers were, I'm like, whoa, boy, that's a lot of money, that's crazy or whatever. They're like, well, definitely I understand, because guess what, man? We all started in the same place. Everyone on Instagram that has 5 million followers started with 0 followers. Every person with a podcast or show like us struggled with updating their gear and getting new computers and building a fan base and building a trustworthy community and all this kind of stuff. And it's just like, again, I said this yesterday, comparing my chapter 1 in ClickFunnels to, Russell's like badass copywriting friend is probably a little bit unrealistic.
Yeah. And it just, it's so much better to just like, we just got to work on ourselves.
Right.
We got to work on ourselves, keep a positive support group, someone that'll tell you transparently also what's real, when you're screwing up, when you're doing wrong, call you on your cards. And I think from there we can,
get back on the playing field.
That's it. We just, one step in front of the other. And I think that's, there's some accomplishment. And then with the accomplishment becomes the momentum and so on and so forth. And so we just need to be careful not to, like I said, just don't, someone might be reaching, and be careful not to chop their hand off. You know what I mean? Yeah. You never know why they've chosen the courage to reach,
Yeah, totally. So anyway, yeah, man, guys, plant those good seeds today. Plant those good seeds throughout the rest of this weekend. That's what we're trying to do with every show we get. We've talked about obstacles and momentum, and Craig's come from, a very different lifestyle than I grew up in. And it's like, I learned so much about myself doing this, and it's just a conversation. We're not like preaching or anything like that. We're literally inching our way through these topics because we're learning it as we talk about it. That's the coolest part about this is, eventually we're going to have some people that are experts and that are coaches in certain areas. And I mean, I don't think that Muhammad Ali would have been as good as he was without Angelo Dundee, or Mike Tyson would have been as good without Cus D'Amato. We all know that he wasn't the same fighter when that guy died. I don't think that Conor McGregor would be Conor McGregor without John Kavanagh. I think that all of these things are tied together, and the older I get, the more I want to be around guys that have the success and that have the things that I'm trying to get, so that I can make that process easier on myself by encouraging wins over mistakes.
Absolutely.
So, again, those are the seeds that we want to be planting every day. There's a reason why you and I came across each other on the internet. There's a reason why you and I have developed a friendship and a relationship. And it's like, now, when we get off these streams, we're relying on the other person to represent us well. You don't want to wake up on Wednesday morning and hear, Pat went on a bender last night and friggin' smashed his guitar against the side of the Palace Theater.
Right.
Because you know how hard I had to work to get that friggin' guitar.
That's right.
That'd be extremely disappointing. So, I mean, again, it is what it is. But you guys, the older I get, the more I realize.
And, I'm just grateful to have this opportunity to work with you. I feel like there is a lot of greatness for where your path's headed. I feel like that humility and the humbleness and the level you're constantly pushing to grow and be better and understand, those characteristics you don't find that full mixture of that as often as the internet likes to present.
Right.
And you got a lot of fun ahead of you, my friend, and a lot of I think your impact's gonna be bigger than you think, even. And if that tells you anything, because I know you got big dreams and goals, and you work hard to obtain them every day. But I'm not just saying this for the audience. I'm saying
Well,
it for
no.
you. You're gonna kick ass well beyond what you probably even maybe fully comprehend at this time.
Well, and that goes both ways, because it's like we talk about. I've learned so much about growing up from you, because I mean, you had to grow up a lot faster than Pat Hilton did. Pat Hilton was able to be a kid way longer than Craig Jackson, and
That's okay.
and that's okay. But that is the truth. So every day that we do this, every conversation we have, I really love the fact that I get a strong dose of, improvement of how I look at what can I do better. When I walk into the gym tomorrow, how am I going to represent myself? Speaking of the gym, and this is a great analogy too. Before we get off, there's this guy that cleans the gym every day, right? Every single day, this guy's in the gym, and he is absolutely, like, from one corner to the next corner, perfect about the way that he cleans this gym.
Yeah.
And it is so nice in that it's like a little gym, but boy, it seems a whole lot bigger when you watch him clean the place
Right.
than when you're just like using the gear. And it's just like
Right.
every single time, a lot of attention to detail, and a lot of, because, he's representing somebody's business or his own business. I don't know. Maybe he cleans 3 gyms every day, and those are the people that he has to provide for, and it's just like every single time I'm in there, provides a positive seed of success to me when I'm in there.
Absolutely. I love the point you just made, and it really, it kind of helped bring, to me, what I grabbed from that is just that in some form or fashion, it's like we get like big inside our own head, right? And it's like especially I've done it myself, and look where I'm at, and now everybody has to listen to me and da da da.
Right.
But really, it's like we're all really on the scale of this big earth here. We're all on some form or fashion accountable. At least I think we should be, as to as many people as possible, because that holds us to a certain character. But we're all impacting or affecting someone in some form or fashion, and I think that when we care about that part of it, we really can create some good growth inside ourselves, and I think then that reflects and shines outward, like your buddy you met last night.
Absolutely. You
know what I mean? It's
or the guy this morning. I see him every day.
Yeah, you seeing him, care just about that. Like, it sparked a whole thing of thoughts that went through your head that just inspired you to want to push or do just a little piece better. I think that's a super good analogy for what can be done out here by any of us, any level, riding the bus, cleaning the swimming pool, serving food, whatever. Just know that things matter. I think that we've been brought into a time where we've been stripped of those characteristics in a lot of ways. Like, we're only taught to think about monetary value, and that's how we gain. But if we really remember that each and every day we have an opportunity to make a difference, then, we're on to something. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, dude. Well, guys, get out there and make a difference. We really appreciate everyone that logs on. Again, we're just getting this started, and it's just been awesome. And we can't wait to share some more time with you guys in the future. Make sure to like and share it with your friends, and get out there. We're not supposed to say SHARE anymore, but you know what? At this point, I mean, you should.
Yep.
So I hope you guys get something out of it. That's why we do it. So we love you. Be safe, and plant good seeds.
Later.